Hey everyone, let's talk about rubberduck debugging. In this video, we are going to find out what is rubberduck debugging, how it can help you become a better programmer, and how to implement this technique and make the best of it. But before we begin, I would like to introduce you to Chippy Cow, my own rubberduck who has been my programming buddy for more than 6 years. He doesn't talk because he has seen a lot of horrors in his life. Alright, let's begin. First and foremost, let's see what debugging really means. Debugging is a process of finding and resolving software defects, or bugs as we normally call them, and this may be one of the most difficult skills for beginner programmers to learn because it can really be frustrating and time-consuming. Everyone got stuck at least once trying to solve a pesky bug that we eventually ended up seeking help on Stack Overflow, reaching out to a coworker or a programming buddy. This is where rubberduck debugging comes in handy. Rubberduck debugging is basically explaining your code line by line to rubberduck. The principle behind this technique is similar to finding out a solution in the middle of trying to explain a problem to another person, or when someone catches errors when reading out loud their own code. Sometimes talking through a problem is all it takes to solve it. So the rubberduck acts as a substitute to another person and helps you diagnose and fix your own mistakes independently rather than relying on others to point out the bug. So next time you want to interrupt your coworker, first try to explain the code to rubberduck to save some time and energy for both of you. And by the way, you don't really have to use a rubberduck per se, any object will do. And I don't recommend explaining your code to your pet because it's not worth stressing them out like this. What is the psychology behind rubberduck debugging? There's a big difference between the way most humans think and the way that computers do. Most of the time, bugs are the result of not thinking in the way a computer does. Computers are precise while humans are generally not being clear and explicit enough in giving instructions. Maybe you've heard about learning by teaching method or the protege effect. The protege effect is a psychological phenomenon where teaching others helps a person learn that information. For example, in our case, you are teaching the rubberduck the ins and outs of your code, and by doing that, you are deepening your understanding of your own code. Just like when you're programming, explaining the code line by line to the rubberduck, you are going through the same mental process of explicitly telling the computer what to do, but this time with a different perspective. And sometimes different perspective is all it takes to find that bug in your code. Alright, now that you are familiar with rubberduck debugging and its benefits, I would like to give you some guidelines that I'm using on a daily basis that help me in the process of debugging. Ask yourself the following questions. What is your code supposed to do? What should the output be? Start by telling your duck about the goal or purpose of your code. What is the code actually doing? Describe the error you are facing. Where does the code go wrong? Describe out loud each line of code and try to trace the problem back to its source. What have you done so far to try to fix the issue? Describe any approaches you have tried and how they didn't work. And lastly, if you really end up in a situation where you really cannot find a solution to your problem, then it's time to ask a coworker for a pair programming session. The more eyes, the better. In conclusion, debugging can be hard and frustrating. Explaining your code line by line to someone or to an inanimate object will help you find that bug. Teaching as a way of learning is an effective way to consolidate your understandings of a certain subject. Don't stress your pets with programming stuff. That's the most important. Alright, I was Carol and I'll see you next time.